morning. Good evening. Sorry, my bad.
Good morning to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, hope this is the normal time when you start your morning.
Pretty much. Yes, pretty much. Ready to rock. It's a Friday.
Yeah, it's almost time. So there are people joining.
Okay.
Yeah, there are people joining. Well, it's almost time. Basically, I think we can start with introductions. Good time of the day, I should say, probably, because here in Uzbekistan it's evening, but it's early morning in Canada. So, good time of the day to all people who are watching us, and thank you very much for joining. And I hope that today we're going to have a really productive and informative interview with our guest and the star of our show today, Tatiana Dikareva, the representative of Thompson Rivers University. Um, you're welcome, Tatiana.
Thank
How are
you.
you?
Thank you for having me today. Thank you for allowing the opportunity to share the information about remote places, Canada, right? So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Actually, this is our first meeting with Canadian representatives, and we're pretty much excited about that too, because I have to tell you that our applicants here in Uzbekistan are more uh, American focused, I should say. So this is something that we want. I mean, this is something that we need to encourage. So our let's say applicants, our students would try to get into Canadian universities and Canadian higher educational institutions. So this is what our aim is, and introducing Canada to our applicants and our students, and especially our let's say clients, let's say of our company, Imperial Consulting, is our priority today. So giving them a clear vision, clear understanding of what to expect and what to let's say what to expect in terms of education and what to expect in terms of prices, and of course, we'll try to give a better understanding of Canadian climate, and of course, Canadian facilities that they can use after graduation. So I think it's already time to start with the questions. We've prepared a number of questions which are frequently asked by our applicants, and I hope today we hope all of us hope that we'll get like full and detailed answers from Tatiana. So I think we can start. Ready?
Absolutely, absolutely. Ready to share as much as I can because indeed Canada gives students a lot of opportunities. So happy to share.
That's great. So we can start. All right. So the first question is not basically a question, that's more like a statement. I'd like to ask you to tell about the university. So, general information and introduction about the university. The floor is yours.
With the pleasure. So, Thompson Rivers University is the public university. We're located in on the west side of the country, British Columbia, the province in British Columbia, and we are right in the heart of the province. So, we're not on the coastal line, but we're still within the close proximity to Vancouver, about 3.5 hour drive by car. We do have the airport in the city. It's a really great location, the city of Kamloops, so students can catch the short flight from either Vancouver, Calgary. There's flights from Toronto during the summer and early fall season. So it's easy to navigate around. The university is a campus based university, so that's where students can dive in and explore what would it feel like to be a student on a university campus, like a city within the city with different infrastructure, from your classrooms to different labs, cafeterias, Starbucks, places to grab a bite, things like that, great sport facilities,
Mhm.
residences. So indeed like a city within the city, and students access all those amenities for free. So again, taking advantage of everything provided. What is important to understand is first, there's two different types of universities in Canada. There's universities
Mm-hmm.
that are focused more on the research. So I would say it's those universities that were initially founded as a university, right? Their mandate is to work on the research, right? So they provide this great
Research-based
infrastructure
universities.
for the research, exactly. And then there's second type of universities, which TRU belongs to, is the teaching university. So our main goal is to basically, through the practicalities, through the hands-on experience, prepare students not just to go into the research, but also to go into the field, right? So prepare students to be job ready upon graduation. So there's two different types that students need to distinguish. So again, our main focus is to prepare all our students to be successful graduates when it comes to future employment upon graduation. How do we do that? Through different levels of programs. There's experiential learning opportunities like co-op education, that is your paid internship. There's definitely case studies the students will be looking at with their instructors. The classroom environment that we provide is quite intimate, about 30 to 40 students. So it's a great
Mm-hmm.
space for students to have the dialogue, to encourage questions. So it's again that collaboration, I would say, with your peers, with your instructor. Mind you that most of our instructors, they are not just the academics who teach, they are themselves coming from the industry, so they have that personal experience. They can show students how things are and how they function in the, I don't want to say real world, but in the working environment, basically. So that is in a nutshell about TRU. We have close to 140 programs for students to explore from. So again,
Mm-hmm.
there's lots of opportunities. What is important to also understand is that TRU is not just the university where you come and you become a number. You are coming with your own set of skills, expertise. So you are a person within the university environment where you can basically set yourself right from the very start. So it's the place where you can really explore your interest, um, where you can even experience, and not just the classroom environment, but outside the classroom environment, opportunities to expand your knowledge, to really probe the ground, I would say, right? To understand, is this the field, the one that I want to continue with, or shall I switch the program? So it is like a playground for you to understand your preferences, your future potential career opportunities.
That's great. Well, what a wonderful introduction, I would say. So, with this clear vision that we've made, I think we can move on and talk about Canada, let's say in general. And basically, all of us know that Canada is well known for its weather, and so there are like different um, thoughts about this, and then there are, well, let's say, how do we call that, stereotypes, we should say, right? Stereotypes that we
Yes,
have, that
yes.
people make about Canada and Canadian weather. And so as a resident of the province, British Columbia, and can you share your, let's say, ideas and your, let's say, your ideas about that, your weather,
Well,
about the.
definitely, I do agree that there is a stigma about Canada being a cold country. So I'm happy to break that stereotype because, yes, there are provinces in the country where it is cold. Um, Based on the geographic location, you can either experience humidity, and when winter comes, minus 25 plus humidity, you will feel cold. That's true. There's other areas where there's strong winds coming from north, right? So depending on where you are in Canada, you may be exposed to cold. However, when you go to British Columbia, BC has its own microclimate. So if you look on the map, geographic location of British Columbia, the way we're positioned, we are protected by the ocean on one side and
Mhm.
protected by Rocky Mountains on the other side. So we are like in a little bubble where a climate will always be different from the rest of the country. So when the rest of the country is freezing, They can be cherry blossom down the coast of Vancouver, right? So in general, when you go to British Columbia, you can still expect to see snow, but you will understand that it's a warmer environment. For example, today it is snowing, but it's +2 degrees outside. So you can still enjoy the snow and you're not
Really?
freezing. Yes, yes.
That's great.
So, what we also have is there's all 4 seasons, right? So we don't experience winter for say half a year and then a short summer and then we're back to fall. No, we have all four clear distinguished seasons, especially in the city of Kamloops. Worth highlighting that we don't have humidity, right? It's a dry environment. So again, even when the winter comes, there's no humidity, right? So again, that's warmer. That allows you to go and enjoy your outdoors. Summertime is absolutely stunning. So the backdrop that you see behind me, that is the image of the campus, one of the buildings, and
Beautiful.
that's the typical sky, that's the typical weather during the summer. So clear sky, a lot of sunshine, absolutely beautiful place. So yeah, do not be afraid that there is that perception of Canada being a cold country. I say come and experience yourself. You'll see that there's definitely a lot of hidden gems, and British Columbia is one of those.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, there are areas where Canada is pretty cold, but British Columbia as a province probably is a clear exception of what the other Canada is about. So thank you very much. Now I think we can move on with questions that relate to studies. As like if I recall correctly, in the introduction part, you touched the topic of faculties that you said that you offered around 140 different programs, right? And
Indeed.
that would be great if we could get more information on that. So the question, if to be more exact, what faculties and then programs offers TRU?
So we have nine faculties, and altogether there's 140 programs that international students can select from. So to name those faculties, of course, the major one is business, School of Business and
Mhm.
Economics. Very popular among international students. There's lots of different, what we call majors and minors that students can select. So what that means, your major is basically your specialization. You are graduating as a specialist under business, focusing, say, in HR, human resource management, or marketing, right? So there's a lot of different majors and minors under that particular School of Business and Economics. Um, First, I'll talk about all the faculties, and then we'll talk about the levels of the programs that students can study. So
Okay,
we will structure it that way. So
great.
outside of School of Business and Economics, we have a very strong School of Tourism, including the adventure studies, culinary arts, a very strong faculty in the province of British Columbia. Faculty of Arts offers a lot of options among humanities. Faculty of Science is extremely strong because there's a lot of practicalities. So we give students access to the equipment and to the labs from the very first semester.
Mhm.
Computing Science is another school, again, very strong. School of Engineering with quite a few programs already available for international students, more programs coming down the pipe. Health Studies and the School of Nursing is also known as a very strong program in BC, and the Faculty of Education. So, education, social work. As a separate school, I would say we need to identify trades. However, with trades, not all of those programs are open to international students. So, we have few trades and technology related programs that will accept international students.
That's great. Great. So uh, after getting this information, of course, there'll be people who'll be really interested in getting to know the requirements uh, which they need to meet, right, in order to get a place from TRU. So, Tatiana, what are the requirements if there are people who want to be applying for the university?
Right. So I think maybe before highlighting and talking about the requirements, let's maybe give an understanding of the levels of the programs that students can access. So depending on whether it's a high school graduate or university graduate student,
Mhm.
what are their choices, right? When they
Mhm.
come to TRU.
So in
Now,
that case, we better start from, let's say, high school, uh, high school graduates after
okay.
finishing high school.
So, as a high school graduate, students can either start right away with a bachelor degree, so that is the undergraduate program, usually 4 years in duration in Canada. There's no additional foundation years, so you just start with year one based on your high school completion, and you progress throughout the all 4 years of your studies till you graduate with your credentials as the bachelor. Um,
Mhm.
Students can also choose to start with 2-year program. So to begin with, they can start with a diploma, what is called a diploma. That is your 2 years, and that is usually your, I would say, very narrow area of specialization of concentration. These programs, and a lot of times, will allow you to ladder to complete your last 2 years of bachelor program again within TRU and within our curriculum. So in that case, students would have what we would call 2+2. And
Mhm.
that's a path that is very popular, I would say, within the tourism industry. If you want to have a specific concentration, say you have an interest in sports events, but you also need a bachelor degree, so you would start with the 2 years of sport event management and then complete your last 2 years of tourism, maybe focusing on management, entrepreneurship within the tourism sector. But
Mhm.
altogether, again, you just study 4 years and now you have two credentials, diploma and bachelor degree. Usually,
Mhm.
diplomas will prepare students for entry level positions. So, yes, you are ready to enter the work environment, but if you are quite ambitious with your career goals, then bachelor will be what you want to have, right? Because students with
Sure.
bachelor degree will have more career options and opportunities to grow within the career. That's high school. For students
So
who are,
if
yes,
I understood you correctly, so let's say high school graduates can choose diploma programs first and then study and finish those diploma programs in 2 years, and then they can transfer their credits and continue their level of education in undergraduate level. Is that right?
so we still need to distinguish laddering opportunity and transfer credits. Those are a little bit different concepts. So when we're talking about laddering, you're basically continuing your studies because
Mhm.
diplomas and bachelor programs within TRU, they were designed that way to allow students to continue bachelor degree without losing right those extra years, without having the extra semester or extra year for them to catch up with. So that will be
Mhm.
your laddering, right? So that's why it is especially well designed within the same faculty, within the same school, right? Division. Transfer credit is a little bit different. So by transfer credit, what we mean is that we are recognizing some courses from previous education.
Mhm.
So TRU does offer transfer credit opportunity for students who have some university education. So we will be comparing curriculum that students studied and curriculum within TRU, whether that meets the same requirements, whether we have matches there, right? With regards to the topics, goals, objectives of the class, and then we can offer a transfer credit for that students. That means that when they come here to study either bachelor or post-baccalaureate, those classes that we've transferred, they will not need to repeat them here at TRU. So that is a transfer credit. Same idea works if students are transferring from university to university in Canada. So it's the same concept, transfer credit. They will be evaluating what are the classes that student already completed. Do they match with the curriculum in other university or school where student is transferring, and if they do, then how many classes can student have recognized? So they are different components, but yeah, at TRU, students can easily ladder from diploma to a bachelor degree.
Wonderful. So you made things very clear now. So, and I think we can continue with graduate level
Requirements.
students?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So for students who are either completing university level studies or have already completed university level studies, they can choose either post-baccalaureate diploma programs or master level program. The main difference is basically the goal, right? The objective of the program. Post-baccalaureate diplomas, they allow students to change their career, change their area of studies. So basically become a specialist in either different area or add to their area of expertise. So they are not repeating exactly the same program that they had from the background. They are either adding to that or completely going um, into the new area. So those programs are usually offered under the School of Business and Economics and our Faculty of Tourism. Master level programs, they are great for students who are not just graduating from the university level back home, but who also have some work experience. Even though it is not a requirement, it is always recommendation that it's better to have that work experience, because even while you study in the classroom, it's nice to reference, right, to the real work environment, to bring that knowledge and expertise into the class and share with your peers. So it helps you even through the study, through the journey. Post-baccalaureate programs will help students enter the work environment. So now that I'm a specialist in particular area, I go and I work in that field. So say I want to study finance or accounting, right? That's the area. I study it on a post-bac level. Master level program, they prepare students for slightly different types of positions in the workplace. So they are more of the admin level position, right? So they give you really well rounded understanding of the whole administration, right? So various levels of your administration within business, for example, right? Or your sustainable development. So depending on the program, whether it's education, whether it's nursing, it is still geared to work more on the admin level, not just the specialist, right? So if you want to work with taxes, then it's not the master level program, it's the post-bac, because it's very hands-on, right? So you need those skills. The master level will not teach you how to work with, your taxes, but post-bac will, right? So that's basically where students need to consider, what are my career goals to begin with? Do I have that expertise right now at this moment to also compete, right, upon graduation? Is there a work experience that allows me to do that upon graduation as well, right? And that's how you make that decision. So in either way, the requirement will be the transcripts. Students' transcripts from the undergraduate level. Master programs will always be more competitive, so higher GPA, higher level of English, where post-bac, there's some options for students to do the upgrading if required, especially when it comes to English upgrade.
Okay, well, in that case, I think we can now switch to the topic of requirements.
Yes.
So, what are the requirements then?
Okay, first of all, every program will ask students to show the proof of English proficiency. And what we mean by that is to basically show that your level of English is high enough for you to understand your instructor, to be able to work independently as well as in groups. And we take that confirmation as IELTS results, TOEFL results, and at this moment, Duolingo is accepted as well. So those will be your exams to show you the proof of English proficiency. There's, of course,
and there is a question here. So this is a very frequently asked question. We have graduates of, let's say, graduates of universities where their main language of study was English. And so are there any privileges for those students?
Outside that they can be more prepared? No, because unless student is completing their undergraduate program within the English curriculum and an English speaking country, they're still going to be asked to show IELTS or TOEFL or Duolingo. So basically, a proof of English proficiency is still required. So the benefit is, yes, students are better prepared, especially with academic writing. So they may not need, as much time for preparation.
Or for adaptation, at least.
And that too, yes. And of course, outside of English, we do need to see that student either have high school completion if they're entering bachelor level degree diplomas, or bachelor degree completed if student is entering post-baccalaureate master level programs. So those are the main requirements. Some competitive programs will definitely want to see additional documents because in this case, you are competing for the seat. So you want to definitely show your other achievements. Master programs will definitely ask for some references as well. So then, for other requirements, what I would recommend students is talk to Timur as to your trusted agent. He will be able to tell you specifically, this is the program that we're selecting. Here are the requirements. He will verify that you have completed document list to submit the application on your behalf. So work with Timur on identifying the program and understanding the particular requirement for the program of your interest.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So now we're moving on with the next question. So let's say our student has already chosen the area that he or she wants to study. And can you explain us the whole process of admission? So how do we start and how do we finish?
Right. So to start the whole process, the application needs to come through. So we need to receive your complete application. And that's again where you ask Timur for help to make sure that it is a complete. He will verify the translations are done properly as per requirements and so on. So as soon as we have complete application package, we start the application processing. Undergraduate level programs, they usually process them rather fast. I would say within 7 to 10 business days. If qualified, students can already receive conditional letter of acceptance. Master level programs, it's a longer process. So we call it a two-step admission, not just by the graduate admission, but then qualified candidates will be sent to the selection committee from the faculty, who will then make the final decision on the acceptance of that student. So it can take longer. Do plan in advance because master processing is around 4 to 6 weeks, I would say. So do plan in advance. But for undergraduate, it's a rather fast process, I would say. So when you receive a conditional letter of acceptance, please read carefully because it will spell out all the conditions, whether you still need to provide your proof of English if you haven't done that yet. We do ask students to then send original transcripts. So make sure that you read all the conditions that are outlined in that letter of acceptance. A third page of the document will also tell you the amount that is due to pay for your deposit, your first semester deposit. So we'll talk about the fees separately, but I'll just go over the process of admission. Okay. So by paying the deposit, you also confirm your seat. So you basically saying that, yes, I am taking that seat. You pay your first semester deposit, and then we issue your final letter of acceptance that will also acknowledge that the university received the amount, whatever the amount that you've paid. So the visa officer can see that your program, your semester has been paid, right? So this is the serious candidate, genuine student who's already committed for that semester within the university. So the final letter of acceptance allows you to apply for your student visa. And then the whole communication with our support services team starts. So we start letting you know about the important days, your arrival, orientation week, pre-departure sessions. So all that communication will then take place after you receive your final letter of acceptance. Closer to the start of the program, you will also be receiving communication from our academic advisors to work on the classes that you will be taking that particular semester. But yeah, I hope that you were able to hear the rest of the question or the rest of the answer to the question.
Yeah, that's right. When you finished, it stopped for a while and then we had that glitch. So Thank you very much, Tatiana. You made a lot of things clear for our future candidates, prospective candidates. And I think now it's high time for us. We move to another part of our, like another group of questions that we need to look at as we have finished with questions related to studies. So now we're moving to financial questions. And the first question that we'd like to ask from you is the expenses, and of course, if we could include into this statement, if we could include, let's say, to this answer, the tuition fees, like approximate tuition fees, and then if we could make a calculation of, let's say, monthly expenses, that would be great.
Okay. So tuition fee is paid semester by semester. Students are not required to pay a year in advance, program in advance. So it is a rolling, I would say, payment, right? Semester by semester. Undergraduate programs.
Good, like very big advantage, I would say.
Yes, because you have a really decent gap between your payments. I would say roughly, 5 to 6 months easily, so you can work it out, right? Whether you make a monthly contribution or you setting the amount aside and then you pay it as a lump sum, but it is semester by semester. What was I saying? Yes,
so
undergraduate.
Yes.
Yes, now let's talk numbers, actual numbers.
Okay.
Undergraduate programs are usually 8,900 Canadian dollars. So every fee that I will be talking about is all in Canadian dollars. Okay, so there's going to be a difference in currency exchange rate compared to US, right? So it will be more affordable if you basically exchange it into Canadian dollar. So
yeah, well, especially if, for our candidates, when people hear the word dollar here, I actually expect them to understand American dollars. So that's why. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, people who are watching us, so we'd like to highlight this place, highlight this statement that Canadian dollars are different from US dollars, and then so when you convert it into US dollars, the amount changes, and like I believe that that change will make you only happy.
It is indeed, it is more affordable if you convert that into Canadian dollars, right? So lucky that way too. Another benefit that Canada gives to students.
Sure.
So undergraduate level programs are usually is around 8,900 Canadian dollars per semester. That is your tuition. Postbaccalaureate programs are usually around 9,150 Canadian dollars. Master level program, depending on the actual program that student is taking, can be anywhere from 7,800, so 7,800 to 10,200 Canadian dollars per semester. So that really depends on the master level program because each master will have their own fee schedule and the amount that students pay. So when it comes to, sorry, when it comes to monthly expenses, outside of tuition, students need to think about housing. So what kind of housing they are selecting. So shall we talk about those options, or shall we just kind of do a rough estimate?
So I think it's better to choose one housing option in order to make that rough estimate. That would be great if we could do that.
So I must say that students who want to stay on campus, despite the fact that it is very convenient, you're right on the campus, a lot of times it's the most expensive housing option. So a lot of students need to consider about that too, right? So am I staying on campus or outside of campus, private rentals, homestays, and so on? I would say that the best budget option will be staying with Canadian homestays because your meals are already a part of that package. So students will have their private room, access to full house, interaction with the family. So indeed, it's like a home away from home, right? but meals are already part of that, and that is on average 875 Canadian dollars a month, paid on monthly basis directly to the family. Another reason why residences are quite often more expensive is because when booking the residence, you're paying the amount up front. So you're not
Mm-hmm.
paying it a month to month, you are paying the full amount up front, basically booking just like with a hotel, right? You're not paying every day you're staying, you're paying
That's
for the
right.
duration of the whole stay. It's the same concept with a residence. You're paying for the full academic year in advance. That is usually 8 months, and it
Mm-hmm.
can be anywhere from 8,300 for your 8 month to I would say 5,600 for 8 months. So depending on where a student is staying. If we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about rental options, which is also possible for students, rooms will be the best bet when it comes to saving, right? Living on a student budget. Um,
Sure.
and it can be anywhere from 600 a month to 900 a month, depending on whether it's just a room or master bedroom, right? So depending on that facility. Um, if you are cooking yourself, right? Then your groceries a month can be around 250. I would say I would cap it within the 300 Canadian dollars a month if you are to cook yourself. And mind you, this is not with a lot of limitation. I'm talking about a very, diverse um, grocery list, right? With your veggies, with it's not just rice and I don't know, you name it, right? Something on a very student budget. No, we're talking about a proper, proper meals, proper cooking here on a 300 Canadian dollars a month for a single student person.
Okay.
Other expenses that students will encounter is the bills, right? And the bills will be very different because, when it comes to internet, there's a lot of student options where students don't pay the full price, can be around, I would say, $50 a month. Some students, if it's a shared house or shared apartment, you get to share all your bills, right? So
Mm-hmm.
internet, your cell phone account for that too can be anywhere from $70 a month to $90 a month, depending on the plan that you're selecting. And some places they include utilities, some places you have utilities on top. So I would say this is kind of your estimate monthly expenses that you need to account for: your rental, your grocery, and your bills. Um, so I would say if student has planned around 1,200, 1,300 a month of
Mm-hmm.
the major expenses, that will do.
Okay. Great. And you mentioned um, you mentioned about homestays, right? And also um, rooms that they can rent. And I'd like to ask you, is there any possible way of TRU assisting in finding those places for our prospective students? Or,
Absolutely.
yeah, you
Yeah,
can answer.
no, absolutely. It's a part of the services that we provide. So we have a special team that works with international students, your international student advisor, right? So they provide a homestay program. This is the database of homestays that the university ourselves, we interviewed the family, we've selected every family. So the key here
Mm.
is to understand that we don't work with third party when it comes to placing students into the homestays. We know every family profile. We've visited their homes, inspected, interviewed them, requested for the criminal record check from the police office, again, to make sure that our
Oh,
students are being placed into a safe environment, and again for the right reasons, right? Where
sure.
a lot of families are really in the program for the experience. They're not in it for the money, because if you think that you can make the money off the students, that is not
Sure.
true, because they really provide that family experience. A lot of times it's empty nesters or young families, right? So they're in it again for that experience, to interact with international students. Families are usually on the bus route, so again, it's easy to navigate, commute to university campus and back to the homestay. So yes, we help with that. Student advisors also help booking the residence. You can do
Mhm.
that yourself, right, through the website, or you can request assistance from the international student advisors. They can also provide the resources where students can start looking for private rentals, whether it's a room, full apartment, townhouse, you name it. So they can definitely direct you to those independent apps, independent ads for you to take a look at. Caution, just for students to understand the way it works here in Canada, you do not pay the money for your rental up until you come and see the place. So if you start looking for independent housing and somebody's telling you, send the money, I'll courier the keys, that is
Mhm.
the scam. So you don't do that. You come, you physically see the place, and only then you sign all the papers and you pay your first month's deposit and usually damage deposit. Um, so that's how it works.
Great. So in this case, something that we point out here is, dear future candidates, if you paid attention, TRU starts caring about you, even though when you're not in Canada. So like from the very first moment when you have started your application process, uh, the university like have already cared about you, like choosing the places and like the investigation of the whole let's say the family and even the criminal record that you pay attention to. So I think that's great. um, One of the great let's say facilities that you have created is I would say that definitely this. So one of the big pluses of the university when the university starts caring about its students from the early moments. That's great. Thank you very much, Tatiana. Now we're moving on with the next question. This is also a very, how to say, frequently asked question, and then I would like to, let's say, I would like to say that this, well, if to be, how to say, if to paraphrase it, um, our candidates ask about that a lot, and our let's say candidates don't want to be burdened for their parents, and so they want to have at least pocket money for themselves. I mean, earn at least that monthly allowance for themselves. So, is there any possibility for them to find a part-time job or do internships, which will be, let's say, additional experience for them, but at the same time get paid for that?
Yes, that's a really good question. And again, a benefit of why choose Canada over other destinations is because as a student, Canada allows you to work 20 hours during the regular semester. So that is your part-time job. And 40 hours during the scheduled break. So, for example, summer is usually 4 months of a break, right? So you're done with your winter semester end of April, and then you start your September intake in September. So you have 4 months. Why don't you work full time, right? Um,
Sure.
when it comes to also let me highlight the location, right? Because again, there's that stigma that going to a mid-sized city, maybe there's not a lot of job opportunities. But what students often don't understand is the competition in the metropolitan cities and the number of colleges, university per, that square kilometer. So
Sure.
think of the competition just among the students. I'm not even talking about, other professionals, right? So think of that competition. A city like Kamloops will actually give students a better option to jumpstart their career because you're coming to the environment that is more, I would say, community based. So it's easy for you to integrate, meet the right people, thus network, right? And you know that expression that your net worth is your network, right? So that's basically your starting point is meet the right people, get involved into proper volunteering program with the Chamber of Commerce, with Venture Kamloops, with um, other, those incubator type of environment companies. So that's how you get to build the proper career. For students who are looking for the part-time job, it's also not that difficult because we're, again, you need to still apply the effort and make sure that your resume is correct, right? Um, But with the will, it is all possible because Kamloops is also a tourism destination. So there's a strongly present tourism industry. And
Mhm.
usually part-time job is within that service sector, right? So there's different restaurants. And mind you that if you are getting tips, you don't pay taxes on your tips. So students can make quite a decent buck, right? For the weekend, just waitressing in the restaurant, right? Easily, 300, 400 over the weekend just in tips. Um, so that's option there for students. Of course, the retail sector is quite strong. So we're talking about those part-time jobs, right?
Mhm.
And then, of course, we have different student clubs that are also professionally oriented. So students, again, can network. For example, accounting club, they have their accounting nights where they bring all those, major companies. KPMG often comes to visit students and work with them, have different seminars. They do the taxation for students. So again, that's your kind of hands-on experience, something that you can already put on your resume while still being a student. So there's clubs like that. And as I already mentioned, there's definitely that paid internship opportunity co-program where basically for that particular semester, there's no classes. Students go and work in the environment that is directly relevant to the area of studies. So we're not just talking about part-time job, entry level type of positions. We're talking about more of a professional job in the professional environment for the whole semester, 4 months, where students get paid average salary within the industry sectors. So for that COPE term, students can save quite a decent amount. Mind you that no one is preventing students to work on the study permit after they're done with their COPE kind of daily hours, right? So definitely students do take advantage of summers copes to save up to at least cover their pocket expenses, which they can easily do with a part-time job. Their summer job, their cope will also help cover housing, maybe put some money
Mhm.
aside to contribute towards their semester. So there are options like that.
Wonderful. Um, Thank you, Tatiana. Now I'd like to ask you to focus on the, let's say, that's a new concept for us, for our candidates. So the word co-op that you used. So is is for me, I see this as one of the let's say biggest pluses that Canada has over other countries in terms of offering a really, how to say, high standard and high quality education. So could you tell us a little more about co-op and what is it, let's say, so for people who do not know about that?
Right. So the term co-op stands for cooperative education. That means that it is basically a paid internship. We do have a very strong portfolio of companies that hire our students for co-op semesters, year to year. So it's not just within the city of Kamloops or British Columbia. Cooperative education is opened across the country, basically. So students can go and
Mm.
work in the companies, say down east, right? Or I don't know, Alberta, you name it. So you are mobile, and that's the key, right? The more mobile you are, the higher the chances for you to securing your COPE semester and go and work in that environment. So the way it works is there's definitely certain GPA requirements. So students need to show that they are a successful academic student,
Mhm.
usually upon completion of 2 years of the undergraduate program, or a year if it's a diploma, post-baccalaureate. So grades do matter. Then there's a whole class that students will need to take, and that class will prepare students with those skills to, to how to be successful in the work environment, understanding of Canadian workplace, how to write the resume, preparation with the interview. They will
Mhm.
also work one-on-one with co-coordinator to identify the companies where they're going to be submitting their resumes. So again, student is not left alone, right? With that experience, there's a guidance, there's support from career department, and once we have that interview secured, that is the student's responsibility to shine, right, and just show what they've learned over the course, right, and use all that help that's been provided before. With successful co-op, students go and work. They are allowed to extend the first co-op semester and take two co-op semesters at once. But then you have to take a break from work and return to studies at least for another semester. So the maximum number of co-op semesters available for students are 4 if it's an undergraduate student, or 2 if it's a diploma postbac student. What we see is most of the students who receive co-op placement, who go work into the companies wait for them to graduate and hire. So a lot of them, they kind of have that unspoken job offer in a way, right? That go and graduate, we want you to come back. So that's what we see as kind of a general trend among those students who take advantage of co-op education.
Okay, great. So basically, you touched the question that I'd like to ask from you. So you see, many students think that after graduation, they need to return back to their home country right away. So you said that this companies where they had called sometimes offered let's say a job, right? So even though they are not graduates yet. So the question is, what are the possibilities, or let's say what are chances of staying there in Canada after graduation? Could you tell us a little more about that?
That is a really good question. So it is important to understand that, yes, Canada gives students the opportunity to stay for up to 3 years upon graduation on postgraduate work permit. So that is basically your working visa, open work visa. That means that you don't have to look for the employer in order to apply for that visa. This is your right as a student graduate. There are definitely some restrictions. So again, why TRU benefits that way is because we are a recognized designated learning institution, so public university. Thus, all our programs qualify for PGWP, what is called in short, right, postgrad work permit. So students can apply, again, pending that there's no violation of their study permit or other violations within the country that would otherwise, not qualify them to apply. But as a student graduate, you take advantage of that postgrad work permit. You stay working for at least 3 years. And then while you have that working visa, you kind of then make your decision with regards to returning back home or trying to remain in the country.
So you see, it's very important for many people to, let's say, put that theory into practice. And then if they have, let's say, learned everything in Canada, and then it's a great opportunity for them to, let's say, see the application of all the things that they have gained through those years. And postgraduate work permit is, the chance for them, right? It's an opportunity for them to stay there and then do their practices, have their practices, and then return back home with that a big portfolio, let's say, of let's say experience that they have, and also it's not only the experience but the knowledge, and of course it will be a very big plus for their resumes when they are back here in Uzbekistan or in some other countries, because we do not work only with let's say Uzbek students, but we also have candidates from other countries too. So thank you very much. That was very, how to say, short and sweet. Yeah, informative and short and sweet, I would say. So next question is about, let's say, it's about students. So now we've got a clear, let's say, picture of educational process. But it's also interesting for students, for prospective students, the areas where they can, let's say, spend their time. What I mean is, what are the facilities in Kamloops as a city, and at the same time in TRU as a university? what do they offer for students, um, like when they are not busy with their studies in their leisure time? What can be busy with?
Right. Well, you are right, because it's not just about the in-class environment, right?
Sure.
It's the overall experience that will matter. And let me start with what university does to give students that opportunity to kind of, have some activities and enjoy their leisure time. So I've already briefly mentioned about clubs, right? I talked about professional clubs, but
Hmm.
there's also different clubs, student clubs that are based on different interests, right? Students are the ones who initiate to run the club, do different events, and any student is welcome to be a part of that either club or just to come and join different activities. So that can be anything from cultural celebrations to game night to hiking clubs and so on. So there's close to different to like 80 different clubs that students can
Hmm.
explore in the system and identify, oh yeah, this is of my interest, I should get in touch with them and be part of that, or at least see what events they're doing. um, Also, we have our own, we call it LEAP program, so Leisure Explore Activity Program,
Hmm.
where students can join various activities, adventures, events on a very low student budget price. For example, we have a ski resort not far from the city, within, I would say, 40-minute drive, second
Oh,
largest ski resort, Sun Peaks. So we take students to Sun Peaks, teach them how to ski, how to snowboard. We provide all the rental, lunch is included, transportation is included. So students only pay $30. The rest is
$30.
subsidized. The rest is subsidized by the university to give students that opportunity to, explore Canadian culture, I would say, right? And explore what are the things to do. So it's not only the events within the city of Kamloops, like can be hockey night. Some events are completely free. Some events anywhere from $5 to $30. Basically, that's your price range, right? To go rafting during the summer, to go, I don't know, like snowboarding, skiing, right? So lots of different events. So that's what we do as a university, right? To introduce students to Canadian culture and also provide the platform where students can interact, can build their
Hmm.
social environment, because it's important to make friends when you come into a foreign country, right? By yourself, especially. So that is the platform to basically start making friends. So there's
That's
always
great.
at the very beginning of each semester, there's some sort of event that we're trying to throw out for students, again, to to give them the chance to mingle, to have fun, and thus make friends. So winter time, we usually take students tubing. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept, but this is my type of winter sport. I don't snowboard, I don't ski, but tubing is my type of sport. um, Summertime, there's different picnics that we try to arrange for students and so on, like barbecues, right? So games, fun. And of course, there's the whole schedule that students can take a look and sign up for the event of their interest. When it comes to, let's say, a playground that the city provides, this is basically a great destination for students who enjoy the active lifestyle, who enjoy the outdoors, beautiful sceneries, hiking, kayaking, spending time at the park. So that will be a great place. So lots to do when it comes to outdoors and recreational activities. It's also a very family-oriented city. So for those with small kids or planning to expand the family, right? That will be the right destination, great destination, very friendly, very laid back that way. Of course, there's also places where students can go and socialize. So there's different coffee shops, great restaurants. So there's really, lots of different cuisines for students to try, right? Great places to go and kind of satisfies the different taste buds, right? But what we
Sure.
also have, there's different breweries, there's a couple of wineries in the area too, where students can, go for a picnic, get like a bottle of wine from the local winery. Again, you need to be of the age 19 and above, right, to enjoy that experience in BC. But other leisure opportunities, there's definitely some smaller clubs, right, for students to go clubbing, right, not every day, but clubs are also present. Indoor rock climbing gym, things like that. Jump 360 trampoline studios. So if you are into more of like an indoor activity, but still want to have fun, right? So just like any city, right? You just need to come and explore. What is it that I like to do? Am I a shopper?
Mhm.
Then sure, go ahead. There's some shopping downtown, nice boutiques, right? There's a shopping area within the city too. We take students shopping to other cities too, like Kelowna, Vancouver, right? So we try to make sure that we provide all the different experiences for students of different backgrounds with different interests, basically. But again, I think what's important to understand is your experience is what you make out of it. So if you
Sure.
come and you are being all shy, not involved, definitely your experience won't be as great as other students who are more, proactive.
That's right, definitely. Well, I've heard all of those activities that I can do there, and then I wanted to uh, like the first thing that comes to my mind is going there and then experiencing it myself, like being able to experience everything myself. So probably this is how to say the perfect sign of a great, let's say, destination for continuing education. So thank you very much. And well, I have to say that I really like that part with snowboarding. So you see, um, if I talk about our locals, if I talk about those big people, we do not have much experience with snow, and
Hmm.
I think for them that would be something really really interesting to do when they're there in TRU. And of course, the list that you've made is like was quite big, and that's why I would say that even if they do one activity per day, for probably uh, 2 years or like 3 years won't be enough to finish all of them.
But
So,
mind you, there has to be focus on studies too. So not just
well, yeah,
coming to
definitely,
party and enjoy,
definitely,
yeah, but studies too.
great. So we're continuing our question with one of the most interesting, how to say, it's an issue basically. It's an issue, and then this is one of the most frequently asked questions that we get. And you see, sometimes our students are restricted in when they want to study abroad because of their family, let's say. So, yeah, can we make a case? Let's say there is a student who wants to apply for master's degree programs or post baccalaureate, let's say, or diploma program,
Hmm.
and if they are married, so let's say we're talking about a man of, let's say, of an age of 25 or 26, after graduating from the university, they've had a few years of experience, and now they want to continue their education there in Canada. So, is there a possibility for them to organize a family reunion?
That is a really good question. And Canada is one of those countries who are not kind of interfering with breaking up the families, right?
Hmm.
We're not supporting that. We are all for, uniting the family, keeping them together. So what students can do, they can bring their spouse on an open work permit visa. Again, that it's important to stress that is an open work permit. They don't need to look for the job before they come to the country. So
Hmm.
as long as the primary spouse is studying academically on the study permit, they can bring their spouse on the open work permit. So the spouse can work full time while their other spouse studies and works part-time during the studies. So it is all possible. um, I will just leave it for your expertise to determine whether they apply together separately. So working with
Sure.
visa with your embassy and understanding how they function, that's, yeah, I'll leave it for your area of expertise to consult students further.
Great. So we can understand, we can highlight one thing here that Canada is a very welcoming country in terms of, like, let's say, granting visas for spouses and those visas, basically open work permit visas, which enables them work fully, right, full time.
Yes.
And of course, it's not only about reunion; it's also about like supporting each other, right? So let's say a family can rely on their let's say second half, let's say, and they can experience this Canadian education at the same time, Canadian work experience together. And of course, like if the family can also earn, let's say, extra money on the visa that they have got. So thank you very much, Tatiana. I think we need to continue with the next question. So the next question relates to one of the, let's say, biggest surprises of 2020, COVID. And I'd like to ask you about the measures that you've taken as a university in order to prevent infections. Because now, if to be honest, one of the main reasons why students students are restricting themselves from going abroad is basically with this, I mean, COVID. So, what are the measures that are taken in TRU? And so, can you tell us a little more about that?
Yes. So first of all, we've already switched to the virtual learning.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's a difference between online and virtual learning that students need to understand. So with the virtual learning that we provide, there's still a very interactive, right, lessons that you're going to be attending with the instructor being present. There's going to be different videos, there's going to be different assignments, group work. So again, instructor is very actively involved in your learning process, but it is all through the virtual platforms. This winter, upcoming winter, will also going to be offered as the virtual semester, despite the fact that Canada is now allowing students with the study permits to travel. So they have a list of approved designated learning institutions. TRU is one of those DLIs who are on the approved list to start bringing students on campus. So we've made sure that all our measures in place, preventing further spread, right, and jeopardizing students' health. So definitely there's the whole campus has been re-equipped in a way, right, to protect the students, to ensure that there's a social distancing that is in place. So the whole campus has been revamped. What we also provide is for students who are going to be traveling, we are taking care of their quarantine plan. So there's an important 14 days quarantine plan as a requirement from the government that every student, every traveler to the country needs to undergo. So for that time, we are taking expenses for your housing, right? So we're providing the residence for students free of charge for the period of that 14-day quarantine. We're helping with the food as well. There's volunteers who will be helping with groceries for those who want to cook themselves, but we also arrange the meals for students. So we are fully handling that quarantine plan for students. So they students do need to reach out to their international student advisor to plan from your arrival day, right? To basically have everything ready before you even leave, because you will need to present a quarantine plan upon arrival to the border service, to the border officer, basically. What else do we do? Well, the province constantly, I would say, takes certain measures in place, right, to ensure that there's no further spread within the province itself, right? So
Mm-hmm.
as a university, we are adhering fully to those directions from a local government, from the province of British Columbia. Around the time of pandemic, you definitely learn to appreciate cities and environment like Kamloops, because it's not a dense populated city, so you're not exposing yourself too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely been an increase in cases down the coast because it's very dense population there, right? But the cities like Kamloops were still a very safe environment, even from that standpoint, right? So not only being on campus, but also navigating within the city, you're not putting yourself at risk as much as you would do that in a metropolitan city, I would say, right? So again, we do encourage students to talk to their international student advisor to make sure that they've pre-planned everything for their arrival. There's going to be that 14-day quarantine time in place. We are, of course, hoping that summer semester we could slowly, return to face-to-face delivery, right? But still with certain measurements in place according to the government, right? And the directions that we receive from the government.
Great. So why I asked this question is basically it's the parents who affect the decision of our students a lot here. So that's why parents are really caring. All the parents. It doesn't really matter where they are, and that's why this answer clearly shows that university really takes care of each student that it receives, and the 14-day quarantine plan and the assistance in finding a place and even with the groceries. That's something that personally me I value really really highly, I would say. So thank you very much, Tatiana. And I think we can close, we can close it up. And the last question that I want to give you before we finish is, we've talked about TRU a lot, and we've mentioned a lot of big pluses. And the last question will be, what do you think? Why do students need to choose TRU as their destination, like study destination? So can you name at least like 3 reasons why they need to do that?
Absolutely. I think I can name more than that, but I'll try to limit
Okay.
myself. So I think the first thing first is it's a public university, which will give you
Mhm.
a lot of like more opportunities because one thing that I did not mention is when it comes to public universities, every program that is offered is basically in demand in the labor market. So there's that correlation and work from the government level and university levels to make sure that we graduate those professions that are needed in the labor market. So again,
Mhm.
TRU is a public university. We provide small classroom environment that's hands-on learning opportunities, experiential learning opportunities. It's the environment that is caring. So as you see, we put student in the center basically, right, of the approach that we work with you, the supports that we provide for you on campus. And there's multiple levels of support, academic, social, health related support like that, right? Transition services, career services, so all the students can use and utilize. And of course, it's worth mentioning the affordability, because if you were to compare TRU's tuition with other universities, you'll see that TRU is still in a very affordable range compared to a lot of other universities in
Mhm.
Canada. So it is definitely a place to choose, right, for that recognition of you as an individual in a caring environment with affordable tuition and all the different services in place to get you adjusted in the country within the academic environment and to help you be successful upon graduation. So that is TRU.
Great, great. So, well, I have given all the questions, and then we got a detailed answer for each of them. So for that, I'd like to deeply thank you, and then I'd like to express our deepest gratitude on behalf of Imperial Consulting, and at the same time on the behalf of all the participants who were not able to give the questions directly to you and who were not able to thank you in person. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for sharing your early morning with us, and of course the information that you provided was very important, and I believe that prospective students who watch this or who will watch this will benefit from it greatly. And I think, we did our job for today. So we made a lot of things clear for our prospective students. And at this point, I'd like to mention that if there are people who are, let's say, interested in applying for TRU, or if you have questions, individual questions which were not mentioned, which were not given here, let's say, which were not touched in this particular meeting, so you're more than welcome to contact me and to contact, let's say, let's say, members, um, our workers in Imperial Consulting. We can organize individual meetings with university representatives where you can get, direct answer, direct and an exact answer for all your questions, and at the same time, you will be able to, let's say, maybe some of you want to, I don't know, like join the meeting with parents. So we have this kind of cases too. So that's why all is possible. All you need to do is just contact us, and then we can answer all your questions, and at the same time we can organize this as an additional. So well, thank you very much for everybody to for joining and then sharing their time with us, and I'd like to thank you, Tatiana, for your time, and hope to see you like in these meetings in near future.
My pleasure. Thank you again for inviting and providing that platform to share the knowledge and to share more with potential students, their parents. So hopefully we answered a lot of questions, we cleared a lot of doubts. But again, as Timur mentioned, if you have more questions, please reach out to him. And if needed, I'll be available here to meet with you guys and to help again clear other doubts that you might have left with.
Great. So thank you very much. Have a good day, guys.
Have a good evening.